Hey, good evening. Gonna do something a little bit different tonight. Normally I'm gonna show off baseball stuff, and that's usually what I primarily enjoy and collect and like to talk about. But tonight I got a mail day, so I was actually gonna show you something I received. Many of you probably have already are aware of and may ever collect even the Topps Living baseball set. I actually got into the Topps Living soccer set in this past year. After Chelsea won the Champions League, I was picking up soccer players from the Chelsea Football Club because that's my favorite team in European soccer and in soccer in general, and probably one of my favorite teams outside of the White Sox, period. They've had a rough month if you've been following the headlines, knowing that they are going to be under government control for a period of time because had their assets, their owners' assets were frozen. He was a Russian oligarch that was part of supporting Vladimir Putin. So I don't necessarily have any qualms or concerns with them being under government control at this point, but it's been a very difficult time for the club this past month. Fortunately, they keep on winning, which is pretty exciting to see, and I hope that they can kind of continue to kind of go forward and potentially threaten the Champions League again. I got this card recently because it was the most recent Chelsea player released for the Topps Living set. As for many of those, you people know probably the Topps Living set for baseball. I have a few of those too, and I'll show those in a minute. They are fashioned after cards that were released in previous decades, and they have a set and release players each and every week on an ongoing basis, so it's a set that never really ends. I think it's one of the cooler projects that Topps does. So right here I have a Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's not a player that plays regularly for Chelsea at this point, but they've been releasing a lot of their players this year because they just won the Champions League. They have a good amount of their roster that is available in these cards, which not every team does. And they release teams from all over Europe, so to have this many Chelsea players released in a year has been pretty exciting, being able to pick up a card every few weeks, really. They're releasing a new one. So they come in the box over here on the left. That's the Topps Living set for soccer. They're the same price as the baseball cards for the 53 set. And these are designed after, I think, cards that were released in the 1970s in the UK. There was a brief Topps presence for the EPL back in that day, even though it wasn't called the EPL back in the 1970s. So that's Callum Hudson-Odoi, and I'll kind of show you where he'll go in a minute. But some other soccer cards I have. I don't have a huge soccer collection, but they're all going to be pretty much Chelsea players. This is the only game-worn item I have, and it's Azpilicueta, who is the captain for Chelsea Football Club, plays for Spain internationally. Been with the club for about 10 years, and he's just a joy to watch because he's one of those guys that really hustles, plays really solid defense, and that's been a trait that I've really enjoyed in watching over the years. So I got that one from, I believe it was from, I can't remember, Topps Museum Collection. So they have a Topps Museum Collection for the Champions League. So that's how I picked up that card. So I put that one aside. And then I got this Eden Hazard recently. One of the last years he was actually on Chelsea Football Club. It's actually the purple chrome refractor. I could probably zoom in just a little bit so you can see it more closely. It's got a really cool photo. I think that was part of the reason I was really attracted to this card. In fact, it's the favorite Topps Chrome card that I think is available of Eden Hazard in a Chelsea uniform for me. At some point, I would love to kind of have that in a holder at some point. It doesn't really matter to me, need to be a high grade or not. It'd just be kind of cool to have it in a holder to kind of go with some of my other cooler cards. He's not been the player he was after he left Chelsea. But while he was with Chelsea, he was just a joy to watch. His speed, his pace, ability to be able to pass and score goals was really unmatched for a certain time for anybody in the Premier League. So he was really a joy for us, and we miss his presence on the field, even though since he's gone to Real Madrid, he hasn't been really the same player as he was before due to injuries. So that's cool. That's my Eden Hazard card. And those are the few I have holdered. But what I do have, I'll back out just a little bit and kind of get a chance to show this for a minute, is I've put the other Topps Living cards I've gotten into a binder so far. I don't have a lot. I just started doing the last year, so I don't have ones that were released before then. Unlike the the baseball cards that were more popular from the beginning, the soccer cards were not. So some of the early release of these cards is really short printed. So some of the Chelsea players are like actually pretty expensive to be able to pick up, probably more than I'm comfortable with. But you can see the first page is mostly Chelsea players, although I did pick up Ronaldo's card when it was available, when he got brought back to Manchester United, because I just thought that was kind of cool to be able to pick up that card. So that's one page I have of those cards. I'll put that aside for a moment. The second one, I just started. I have players here at the top. We have Lukaku and the goalie Mendy, who's right now probably the best keeper in the world. Granted, that could change from one year to year, but he's had one hell of a year. And then I have a few more Topps Chromes cards, as you can back out. It's another one of the Eden Hazard cards I just showed you, but it's just the regular Chrome card. And some from this past year's Top Chrome UEFA Champions League. So I have some of the Chelsea players that were released in there. And then I have one more page of some cards, all released through Topps. I have some Sapphire from this year, some of the cards, including like a Billy Gilmore rookie, but he's over at Norwich right now on loan, playing a little bit, does okay. I don't know if it'll actually amount to much of anything, but it was kind of cool to be able to pick up some of these cards, including Kai Havertz, who scored the winning goal in the Champions League for Chelsea this past year off a pass from Mason Mount. So anyway, that's another passion I have, and I thought I would just kind of share that with people tonight. Topps Living, I do enjoy those cards, and I'll just kind of show you briefly some other ones I have. Let me zoom this camera back in just for a minute so I can show you some of these things that I have to share tonight. I don't have too many baseball ones because I was really late to the game. And some of the earlier baseball ones are kind of expensive, so I'm not going to be chasing after those anytime soon. Sorry, the camera looks like it's shaking just for a minute. Let me put it a little more stable. Some of the players I did pick up an Albert Pujols pretty cheap. It was an earlier release in the set, but it was one people were really not going after. As you can see, they're fancied after the 1953 Topps cards, and I'll have a chance to maybe show some of those in future videos. So I think they look pretty cool, just kind of looking after that. I picked up some of the White Sox rookies from last year. So Nick Madrigal, who's now with the Cubs. He was part of a trade last year that didn't really work out too well for them, but hopefully maybe it'll work out for the Cubs. You know, I'm not a huge Cubs fan, but I am a fan of him. Andrew Vaughn, I hope he has a good place with the team this year. Had a good contributions through the course last year for the White Sox, and I hope he continues to have a good season. Really cool looking card. And then I am a big Albert Pujols fan, so I did pick up his card when he came over to the Dodgers, and maybe I'll look forward to actually picking up a card if he signs with the Cardinals, which is what I'm kind of hoping for too. It'd be great for him to finish his career over there. The final I have is actually the first one I picked up, and actually brings me to my final topic of the night. I'm going to a card show this weekend. So I'm going to the Chicago Sports Card Spectacular, which is a 3-day card show. They have every 6 months. They have it in March, and then they have it in November. The dates for the shows have been kind of thrown off because of COVID. So this is actually the first March show they've done since 2019. I'm going to go on Sunday, so I won't have a chance to see anything that was happening today on Friday or obviously tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to going to Sunday show. Last time we went, as a group, we went to the rescheduled one from last March, which was done in this September. And I'll show this last card for a specific reason. It's Hank Aaron's Topps Living card. I picked it up a while ago, but that's not what I got at the show. But one of my friends won a door prize, and I actually was able to negotiate a deal to obtain ownership of this particular signed baseball item. It's actually a Hank Aaron signed baseball, which is extraordinarily cool for many reasons. Obviously, I still consider him to be the home run king, but he's also one of my favorite all-time players, and obviously a huge ambassador for the game in so many levels. You know, you can do an entire video on Hank Aaron, and maybe I will in a future video where I kind of show off some of the other cards that I have of Hank Aaron. But that's kind of it tonight. I probably will do another video Sunday evening, just kind of wrapping up things I might pick up at the show and just kind of talk about my experience. Maybe I'll take a few pictures and videos from the show. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll find out on Sunday evening. Whatever I do, I will post. So have a great evening.